Hello, you're watching Telecom TV. I'm Martin Warwick and this is Executive Insight. And I'm talking with Akil Beshir, who is the CEO of Telecom Egypt. Mr. Beshir, pleasure to meet you. You are the CEO of the incumbent Telcom in Egypt. What effect has the program of privatization and competition had on you?
I have to tell you, this was a major change because introducing, corporate governance, for example, the changing the mindset, maybe this was the most important, difficult thing, changing the mindset of people from a monopoly that's, offering service to customers or citizens, as they used to call them, and they are lucky to get the service, okay, into somebody that's a company that's customer oriented, shareholder oriented, with dealing with customers rather than citizens, and trying to offer them the best possible service, even before we had competition. And up till this moment, we do not have competition in our core business, which is the fixed line business. However, mobile is totally private. Data, we face competition in data, although we are the wholesaler to everybody, to all the ISPs, but we do have a retail arm called T Data, which is actually competing in the retail market. So we started getting used to competition and to customer services, or being service oriented. What the competition did, for example, the competition in mobile, okay, has benefited us. Why? Because we own the only infrastructure. We are the only fixed line operator. We own the only infrastructure. And mobile operators, actually all other telecom services operators, mobile, data, and otherwise, they use our infrastructure. So we have to offer them with their requirements. So competition in mobile resulted in very high growth in mobile market, which resulted again in quite high growth in our wholesale business to them.
You are the incumbent, you're the fixed line operator in Egypt. Egypt is primarily around the Nile Delta and so on, where the bulk of the population is, where the bulk of the agriculture and industry is. You have vast areas of deserts on either side. How do you deal and provide service to those that are in remote and rural areas?
Well, of course, Egypt geographically is a very relatively easy country to wire. Okay, it's flat, and as I said, it's almost 99, more than 99% of the population is living on only 5% of the land. So we covered more than 95% actually of the populated areas of Egypt by wire. However, we still have some areas, either they're so remote that it's very expensive or too expensive to wire them by copper or fiber or whatever, by wire line, or in some particular areas, some rural areas, it's also not practical to wire. And those areas, up till a couple of years ago, we did not cover at all. Now we cover them by wireless technologies. We adopted CDMA, fixed wireless local loop, which we use to cover the remaining 5% of the land. So we're very well covered now. We have more than 25,000 kilometers of fiber optic cables covering all those areas.
Let's move on then to broadband. What's the policy here?
Well, obviously, of course, dial-up was, since 2003, more than 5 years ago, we have free internet. So dial-up is free. Everybody's using dial-up. But when broadband came into the picture, originally it was quite expensive to the average user. And we started facing, sharing problems, or, people, cannot afford to pay for it. About a year ago, or less than a year ago, last September, actually, we had a new initiative. Actually, it's adopted by the government, by the Ministry of Communication and Information Technology, to encourage people to use broadband. They actually subsidize the connection, the basic connection, 256K. This has resulted in multiplying the demand. Now, the growth we still are in a very low penetration. We have about 450,000 connections only, 450,000 subscribers, but they are growing at about 25,000 per month, and this is only limited by the ability of the ISPs to connect customers. So there's no financial barrier to that. Of course, the other barrier was the PC penetration. For broadband, you need a connection and you need a PC. And again, PCs were not affordable to many people. PC penetration was quite low. Again, the Ministry of Communication and Information Technology had a new initiative called Computers 2010, I think the name. And it was developed jointly with Microsoft and Intel to make a reasonably configured PC available for anybody at about an installment of about $8 per month for 3 years. Of course, some banks are involved in financing this. Telecom Egypt is also involved in that. So with those two initiatives, I believe we expect, actually, during the last 3 years, the broadband subscribers were doubling every year, but we were starting from a very small base. I think we'll continue doubling if the ISPs, manage to increase their capacity to connect people. So I expect probably within the next couple of years, we can reach 2 million subscribers.
$64,000 question then. How do you find that Telecom Egypt stands up against the competition that you now face?
Obviously, they've got mobility. That's the main competitive advantage. We have other advantages. We have quality. Definitely, the voice quality on fixed is much better than mobile. We have the ability to offer broadband services. Again, it's still, with mobile, with 3G, it's not the same. You don't get the same service. We have the price. It's much cheaper to use. A fixed to fixed minute is much cheaper than mobile to mobile or fixed to mobile or mobile to fixed. So and we've got the coverage. We already have the coverage everywhere. Of course, it's easy for mobile to increase coverage, but we try to capitalize on our infrastructure to continue expanding. Our challenge is the minutes of use, because of convenience. That's what the mobile have. They have the mobility and they have the convenience. I believe fixed line usage will continue to be important. People will not. We do not yet see a fixed mobile substitution in connection. We see it in usage, as I just mentioned. People use the mobile to make a phone while he has a fixed line. We do not see yet a substitution, meaning that people disconnect their fixed line to and use mobile. One of the reasons, of course, is that our subscription fee, monthly subscription fee, is quite low. It's £10 per month. So if you already have the line, you just keep it. And of course, if you use broadband, then you really need it.
What we see in different parts of the world is that voice revenue from fixed line is going into decline. It's commoditizing, even though minutes used on fixed lines are sometimes increasing. And of course, we all know about the great success of mobile telephony. Are you suffering in Egypt from the same syndrome? Are voice revenues on your service beginning to decline?
Yes, it is. It is, and Egypt is no exception. Voice revenues, at least in fixed line, you mean fixed, of course, are declining. We started seeing some fixed to mobile substitution in usage, not in connection, luckily. So people, of course, there are many reasons for that. It's more convenient. The address book in the handset and so on. So they tend to use mobile more. But more than 50% of the calls that are made from mobile actually are made while you have a fixed line, accessible to you. And so there's no doubt that voice revenue started decreasing. However, data revenues start to increase. The more broadband is penetrating our customer base, the more data revenues that we have. So hopefully this balance itself. Plus, of course, the new applications for fixed line, like for the moment, for example, the triple play. With this, where you have voice, data, and video on the same on the same channel, and this actually is one of the things that favors fixed line over mobile. So we do see this as a trend, of course, but it's not happening as the same speed as it's happening in other words. And of course, the cost is much cheaper to use the fixed line. That's what we're telling people. You know, be careful in that it's much cheaper and it's much better quality-wise. Definitely, quality of the voice on the fixed line is much better than mobile.
And what about new services like DSL and IPTV? Do you do that?
Of course there is. It's still very small. It's a very small market. You know, it did not take off yet in most countries in the world, but we're doing a lot of work, a lot of research. We're preparing for it. We want to be the first to offer IP. We did offer IPTV and video on demand on experimental basis and individual cases through our data company, T-Data. For example, in June 06, we got the right to broadcast the World Soccer, you know, the World Soccer Championship on the ADSL. At that time, number of subscribers were very small, but it was a very successful offering. And T-Data also offered video on demand. But of course, the content, you need the content. You need to have very wide content offering.
In the near future, ITU Telecom Africa is going to be held here in Cairo. How important do you think it will be for the city, for the country, and does it have a lasting impact when it's packed up its tent and gone?
Yes, I believe so. First, it's very important to have you know, visibility all over the world about the industry in Egypt. And ITU event is a very good you know, chance to do that. It's very important. It's very important opportunity as well for Egyptians to be exposed to what's going on in the world. So not every Egyptian has the ability to travel and you know visit exhibitions and so on. So they come usually in ITU exhibitions. The big companies present, you know, and exhibit the latest they have. So it's important for the users, for small companies, small businesses in Egypt that are actually related to telecoms, and even for the young people, you know, for students, you know, the university, you know, students who actually get exposed to the new technologies. It's also for Telecom Egypt. It's as any other operator, it's an opportunity to meet with executives from the whole industry. Usually with the exhibition, there's a conference as well, and the conference usually addresses the latest issues.
Akil Beshir, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.